In the last part, Lloyd saved everyone from the undead orcs, and now was going to Namorin to find more clues about the one who was behind it. At Frontera County, around 10 kilometers to the north, there is a sludge disposal plant. Lloyd asks Podong to lift the lead. As he does so, Lloyd requests Solitas to come forward and do his job. Solitas used his powers and lifted the human feces, rolls them up, transformed into his dragon form, and burns down the feces with his terrifying fire breath. Lloyd tells him soon the whole world will eventually come to know the story of a dragon who gladly used his powers for the sake of humanity's hygiene, the legend of the poop-annihilating dragon, Solitas. Solitas was pissed and tells him not to tell anyone about that. The system tells him that he has managed to build the first collective waste system for the Laurasia continent. Also thanks to him, the concept of public health is starting to be established. He receives a new title which gave him immunity to infectious diseases happening in the county. Javier asks him when was he planning on departing for Namorin. As they were walking, they saw a huge number of carts parked in front of the mansion. Lloyd had a really ominous feeling about it. The Count tells him about the marriage proposals that were rejected recently, and they all sent their daughters here as they thought that he did change his mind if he saw them in person. And he has made sure to give them a good accommodation. Also, he made a token card. Lloyd knew he was excited about this. The Count tells him it was his age to see his grandchildren, and the whole continent is wondering if there was something wrong with his eldest son. Lloyd was depressed as the system makes fun of him. Lloyd was waiting in the room and thinks that he was not really liked by the ladies but by their fathers. As the first lady entered the room, Lloyd introduced himself. The lady was surprised and instantly proposed to him for marriage, but she mistook Javier for Lloyd and asks him why is the servant sitting on the couch. Lloyd introduces himself and the girl is depressed and runs away. The second lady enters and once again the same thing happens and she ran away. Now the third lady entered the room, and Lloyd was shocked to see as she was the eldest daughter of Count Namorin, Salurin. In the novel, she was Javier's lover, but she sacrificed her life to protect the people of Namorin. She compliments him for his looks, but Lloyd knew that she has mistaken him once more. She was confused as she knew that the person sitting in front of him is Lloyd. Both of them were shocked. She tells him that she knew that he has been in a hurry due to the work in the county. She gets up and was about to leave. Lloyd stops her and asks her if they had a sudden influx of people in the county or something else. She tells him that many refugees came to Namorin because they lost their homes due to monster attacks. Lloyd was agitated and knew soon the barrier will be deployed and suck all the ma from the refugees. Lloyd planned to take on all the refugees to him, but still, some refugees went to Namorin and knew if San Navarro's plans proceeded as per the plan, thousands of Namorin's people will be sacrificed. And the night that brought death, the Hell Knight will be summoned, whose existence was almost equivalent to a god, and he will be not able to prevent the annihilation of the whole area. Lloyd and Javier were ready to leave for Namorin, and we see Javier holding a basket full of love letters. Javier asks Lloyd if he didn't receive any of them ever, and Lloyd confirms him. Javier sits on the ground and offers one letter to Lloyd. Lloyd rejects it and tells him to not give it to him as it belonged to him. Javier was disappointed and stressed out as Lloyd left. As they were on the way to Namorin, Lloyd asks the princess if there were any problems in the county, and tells her that there will be a major problem if they did not anchor the sides of the kingdom. The princess thanks him and tells him that he was at the point. As they reach the kingdom, the princess introduced Mr. Cannavaro to Lloyd and explains that he was the one who brought all the refugees and had been helping them ever since they were brought here. Lloyd notices the symbol on his shirt, and was now ready to take revenge for the county. At the Count's mansion, the Count welcomes them, but he mistook Javier for Lloyd as he was more of a royal than Lloyd was. The princess tells the Count that he was wrong, that Javier was not the one, and tells that the one beside Javier was Lloyd. She starts to shout at her father and took Lloyd's side. Javier was confused, but he still starts to tease Lloyd. As the princess tells the Count why they were here, we see Lloyd was about to beat Javier. Later that night, Lloyd tells Javier about the demon pattern he saw earlier on the shoulder of Cannavaro, and tells him to get evidence so that he could prove the Cannavaro was a bad guy and save Namorin County. Javier strangely looked happy, and Lloyd asks him about it. Javier tells him how hard it must be for him to be so ugly, and a fight breaks out between them. The next day, As Lloyd was sight visiting in Nameron County, he was shocked to see the same patterned shirts were being sold in the open market. Lloyd asks Javier if he found anything suspicious. Javier tells him that he was suspicious of Cannavaro as he has protected his place with an expensive magic lock. Javier thought of destroying it but was worried to be discovered right away, so he left it for now. Lloyd thinks of it and thinks of stopping everything before the barrier is deployed. He didn't know what spell is being cast on the city, as there was nothing stated in the novel. Lloyd thinks if he trained Javier to become a Grandmaster, he will become a being that can get rid of the barrier and the Hell Knight in an instant. But it will be impossible to train him in such a short period of time. Javier tells him that he will do his research and find some clues about Cannavaro soon, and asks him to show some trust in him. In order to build the anchor system at the Nameron Hills, Lloyd sends a messenger pigeon to Master Corgidus to get the work done faster. As Lloyd was going to check the details about the construction site, he hears about a beautiful lady at the distribution center, and hears praises about her body and her looks. Lloyd thinks of it, but something was off as there was nothing about a beautiful girl and is now suspicious of it, and decides to check it out by himself. As he went further, there was a huge line of people waiting to see her. Lloyd makes his way and is surprised to see Javier was undercover. He was disgusted as people commented on his body. Javier saw Lloyd at a distance, all shocked, Lloyd in sign language, and taunting Javier. Javier tells him that he was undercover. Lloyd was still skeptical of him, but before leaving he tells Javier that he was being watched by him. Javier was doing his work as Cannavaro has a chat with someone in a cryptic way, which made Javier confirm his suspicion. Lloyd was at the site where he had to plant the anchors. He used his survey skill and finds a skull beneath the ground. He thinks of it, and searches the whole area and finds even more skulls and starts to dig them out. Here, Cannavaro was having a meeting with the cult members and tells them they will start the plan as discussed. As Lloyd inspects the skull, there was a trace of black magic within it. Lloyd knew that unknowingly he has successfully screwed the cult's plan. Lloyd used his absorption skill and purified the mana from the skulls. As he picked up a skull, a crystal falls out of it. He uses his inspection skill on it and is shocked as its price was higher than Sir Byron's annual fee, and ran to collect the other crystals. He collected all the crystals and packed them in his bag, heavier than expected. As he was leaving the place, he tries to talk with the skull and tried to identify how did he die. He bows down and offered his gratitude for giving Sir Byron's salary. He picked them up and tells them that he will provide a good place for them to rest. At night, Javier was trying to explain how he ended up in that dress. Lloyd interrupts him and tells him that it was okay as everyone has their own preferences. Javier tries to explain to him that was not the case, but Lloyd tells him that it was fine. Javier was silent, so Lloyd asks him how he found out about his new preference. Javier was agitated about this and yells at him, but still, Lloyd teased him. Javier told Lloyd that beneath the mansion there was another door that led underground. Lloyd starts to tease about his newly founded preference, which made him infuriated even more. At the mansion, Cannavaro is shocked as he hears the news that all the skull has disappeared. Everybody has started to think that their plans were in ruins now. Cannavaro stops them and tells them he had a plan and has a grin and smile on his face, and tells them that the Hell Knight will arrive here as planned. The next day, Ms. Javier spills a water bucket. The owner asks her to go inside and dry up as some guys were staring at her body. Ms. Javier goes inside Cannavaro's mansion. Javier changed his clothes and hides his presence by suppressing his mana. Javier runs to the secret door and hides there as Cannavaro was opening the door using his magic. Javier analyzes the magic as now he was going to open the door before he left. Here, Lloyd was sitting with the crystals and was all pumped up to get more of the free money. At the mansion, Cannavaro comes out of the secret room. As he left, Javier gets to the door and replicated the same magic spell to unlock the door. He enters the room, and as he walked down the corridor, he encounters a mutated orc. Javier dodged its attack and countered it with a mana punch, but he was shocked as there was not much effect on the orc. The orc launched another attack and was successful in hitting Javier. Even though he blocked the attack, he was forced to back off. And soon many of the undead orcs started to appear. Javier drew his daggers and was ready to take them on as he has now confirmed his suspicion. As many of the orcs appear, Javier sees a bald man peeking at him. As he noticed Javier, he quickly closed the door. Javier fights and kills all the orcs and kicked the door. The bald man flew and was on the ground wanting nothing but mercy. Javier broke his leg and asked him what was Cannavaro up to. The bald guy tells him that he has no idea as he was just a hired mortician, and Cannavaro ordered him to handle the bodies in the medicine room. Javier asks him about the bodies and comes to know that all the refugees have died due to illness, but he knew Cannavaro has killed all of them. Javier breaks his other leg and was going to inform this Lloyd. As Javier reached the room, Lloyd was not present there, so he decided to secure Cannavaro first and rushed to the mortuary to find the culprits. Javier makes a flashy entrance and draws his aura sword. He was confused as there were no people in there and realized that it has already started. We see purple clouds all over the Namarine state, and Javier felt a huge pressure as if something was sucking his mana dry. He rushed outside just to see that the barrier has been already deployed, and everybody outside was being drained of mana. Javier was pissed off and thought of searching for Lloyd. At the Count's mansion, all the men were on the ground due to lack of mana. The princess rushed towards them while carrying a strange necklace, which somehow made her immune to the barrier. Here, we see the dark mage, who was all pumped up and had an evil smile as he thought that they will soon conquer the world. And out of nowhere, Lloyd interfered with him and asked him what was he doing there, as there were more than 30 people beside him who were casting some spell. The dark mage ignored him, due to which Lloyd is infuriated and once again asks him. Lloyd tells him that he was leaving as he will not talk with him, but it seems like he had some other plan in his mind. Lloyd swings his shovel and hits the mage straight in the face, and was surprised as the shovel was crooked. The mage had a grim smile on his face as he had some kind of protection spell on him. Lloyd swings his shovel with all his mana, and this time he inflicted some damage, but that was not enough. Lloyd calmed down and tried to absorb the mana from the necklace the mage was wearing, but he was unsuccessful due to another type of protection spell. The mage had a grin and smile on his face, which annoyed Lloyd. So, he asked him if he was unable to move from his place as it will disturb the barrier or something, which made the grim smile disappear, which confirmed his suspicion. Inside the barrier, Cannavaro was walking freely through the people who were asking for his help, but he kicked him in the face instead. Cannavaro was at the statue of the fallen angel and starts to perform the ritual to summon the Hell Knight. Here, Lloyd was digging something in front of the mage and was about to execute his plan. And we see, all the ground below the dark mage was removed and he was balancing himself on a little dirt. Lloyd has activated his devil mode and looked at the mage, and blown some air in his ear. Due to this, he falls to the ground. As a result, the crystal lost its magic and blew up, making the mage unconscious. Lloyd gets to the crystal and inspects it carefully. The barrier was down from one side, which makes him sure of his theory. Cannavaro noticed the disturbance in the barrier but still chanted the incantations to summon the Hell Knight, but he was soon interrupted by the princess. The princess asked him what the heck he was doing, to which he responds by launching a mana blast attack on her. But unexpectedly the princess was able to block and absorb the attack and make a huge spear of mana to attack him. Due to this, he received a huge amount of damage. The princess approached him and asked him what was he doing there. Cannavaro completes the incantations and announced to her that the Hell Knight was coming to save him. The statue of the fallen angel cracked, and the princess was shocked upon hearing this. Cannavaro was about to attack her using a dagger. But out of nowhere, Javier comes in and chops down his hand in order to save the princess. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching.